Hello everyone, my name is Elvina and I'm a student of Polytechnic Tonggak Equator Pontianak. So our topic today is about a question of policy. Do people need to behave politely in social media? In the era of globalization now, social media has become an important part of our lives. It is harder to find people who don't play social media than finding a needle in haystack. I mean, even my grandma plays Facebook at least. Unfortunately, with more people having access to the social media, conflict become easier to happen. It is fun to play social media, of course, but the internet is not always a safe place. Some conflict can cause huge damage to the victim. One of the example is cyberbullying. So in my speech today, I will first talk about some types of cyberbullying and then why does this often happen and what should be done about it. Cyberbullying is an act of harassment done through the digital media. The most commonly seen example is arguments causing one-sided hate and irrational bashing. Some people like to feel better than others, and they boost their ego by insulting other people. Or maybe other people have different opinions because everyone have different point of views, but the problem came when they decided to argue without logic or just doing it for the sake of hate or amusement. Word can be weapon that is sharper than knives, and something that we consider trivial can be a huge impact for other people. Or according to selfguide.org, aside for helping people from bullying, cyberbullying happens to a third of people who are bullied, and victims from this kind of cyberbullying can suffer from depression, loss of confidence, and even PTSD, with the worst case is committing suicide. According to research done by Oxford, Swansea, and Birmingham University, cyberbullying raised the risk of self-harm and suicide by 2.3 times, which is not a small number. Other example of cyberbullying is theft of creative works like pictures, photos, stories, and others. As we know in the internet, we can easily download anything and everything with just some clicks, or even with the aid of applications. This kind of behavior is not only disrespectful for the original creator, but also can damage someone's life. How? Artists and freelancers often post their work in the social media in order to promote themselves so they can attract more customers that pay them for their works. But by reposting it without permission or crediting the original artist, this takes away the attention from the original poster, which can be very fatal for their incomes, and they depends on this income to feed themselves. So according to European Commission, about 2 to 10% of global commerce is now made of copied works, causing more than 200 to 300 billion dollar loss and the annual loss of 200,000 jobs. Last but not least is also something that we often meet, that is fandom discourse. Fandom refers to a gathering of people who share the same interest or similar interest in something. For example, people who like to listen to K-pop music are part of the K-pop fandom. In a fandom, each member may have different interpretation of their favorite things, and that is valid. But cyberbullying starts when they shame people with different opinion, or when something about their interest doesn't match their expectation. Example of extreme fandom discourse is the Star Wars discourse not long ago when the Star Wars released a new trilogy and some of the long-term fans deny the new series on the basis of that is not canon for them, or they don't like the character or the ending or what happened in it. And the extreme fans even sent some death threats to the actors and their families. There are also many public figures that commit suicide because they can't stand the pressure from the social media, from the fans. This shows that extreme fandom discourse can even cause damage from fictional story to affecting real lives. Because some of this action can be considered breaking the law illegal. With its many terrible impact, why does cyberbullying still happen? I think the biggest reason is that people can be anonymous in the internet. No one knows who is who in the internet without they themselves revealing themselves what their identity. Next is the feeling of self-entitlement. Everyone has a different of speech, but when some people practice their freedom of speech excessively, this can cause the feeling of self-entitlement and causing many disrespectful behavior that leads to cyberbullying. Fanatical belief also play a big role in enabling such cyberbullying. When people where people will do anything to defend their belief and reject every argument that they don't agree with, and even going as far or as insulting other people's beliefs to insult their own. This kind of fanatical belief can bring terrible backlash when something doesn't happen the way they want it, or maybe they feel anger and betrayal. So what should be done about this problem? First, people should learn to be polite and respectful. Being polite and respectful doesn't cost anything, it's free. Acknowledge that other people can have different opinion from you, and if you want to argue or tell someone that they are wrong, argue with logical arguments. Don't just throw insults to them indiscriminately. Next is social media is a vital part of our life, so parents and educational institutes should teach their children or their students about the appropriate behavior when playing social media to their children, because at that age people are very impressionable. Next is to practice the LDR, which means don't like, don't read. No one is forcing anyone to see anything they don't want to see in the social media. Most social platform now has a block feature that you can usually use to block anything you don't want to see. And then, people should actively report users that stole creative works. And if we want to repost something in the internet, we should be careful first. Check does the creator permit us to repost? If they don't give the permission first, or we don't know who the original poster is, then refrain from using something with unknown source, especially for commercial purpose. Lastly, actors and celebrities are also human and they have their own flaws, so don't be too fanatical. In conclusion, be polite and respectful when indulging in fandom. We need to do this because something that we consider trivial and careless can be very damaging and harmful to other people. So thank you for your attention. Sorry if there are many mistakes. Goodbye.